Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Politics on the Hindu's YouTube channel. Now, this is a show where we go to the stories behind the headlines that are, making the news in domestic politics. Last week was all about the all-party delegations dispatched by the union government to put forward India's point of view with regard to recent hostilities with Pakistan to shape global narratives in India's favor and combat disinformation by Pakistan. This episode of Talking Politics will examine the logic, history, and the unexpected political fallout of this move. Now, the 4-day hostilities between India and Pakistan following the terror attack in Pahalgam that left 26 people dead and remains unresolved to an uneasy ceasefire saw India destroy 9 terror launch pads and training centers in Pakistan, as well as hitting of 12 air bases of that country deep into its territory. Pakistan spun the conflict as an unfair act of violence against the state, and it's being combated by the Indian government as a reaction to acts of terror on Indian soil sponsored for decades by Pakistan. US President Donald Trump claiming of credit that he facilitated the ceasefire and hyphenating the two countries, though nowhere near equal in terms of economic heft and moral purpose of the states, showed that there was a need for an outreach from across party lines to press the Indian case and the differences, to show up the differences between a functioning democracy and a theocratic state like Pakistan. Now, this was not a new kind of outreach. Earlier too, Indian prime ministers had harnessed the power of India's democratic ethos to project a national resolve and unity over issues affecting foreign policy. For example, in 1994, then Prime Minister Narasimha Rao sent a delegation led by former External Affairs Minister Salman Khurshid and leader of the opposition in Parliament Atal Bihari Vajpayee to the Human Rights Commission, the UN Human Rights Commission in Geneva. And Vajpayee's advisor on foreign affairs, Dr. Brajesh Mishra, then former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir Farooq Abdullah, and former Vice President Hamid Ansari also joined that delegation. Now, Pakistan tried its best to take a resolution against India to a vote on the UNHRC, but the Indian team lobbied hard to win. It lobbied hard with Iran to prevent the vote, and finally Iran's influence over West Asian and North African countries prevailed, and Pakistan's attempt at creating a diplomatic embarrassment for India was foiled. Thus, it was that the centre currently also decided to send across delegations to world capitals, especially to countries that are members of the UN Security Council, to lobby for support for India, of MPs from the ruling party, and more importantly, of the opposition, to also project a message of unity and democracy. The 7 delegations comprise 59 members, including 31 political leaders from the ruling National Democratic Alliance and 20 politicians from other parties. They are being assisted by former diplomats. These delegations are being led by BJP MP Baijayant Panda, which is the Group 1, former Union Minister, Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, Group 2, Janata Dal United leader Sanjay Jha, who is also Rajya Sabha MP as leader of the Group number 3, Shiv Sena's Dr. Shrikant Shinde, Shiv Sena Shinde Group's Dr. Shrikant Shinde, who is leading Group 4, Congress's Shashi Tharoor, leading Group 5, Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam DMK MP Kannimozhi Karunanidhi, Group 6, and the Nationalist Congress Party's Sharad Pawar leader Supriya Sule, who is leading Group number 7. Now, the formation of these delegations, however, were not painless, with the Congress exposing the divisions within itself in suggesting 4 leaders of its own on its own. The Congress, on its part, suggested former Union Minister Anand Sharma, MPs Nasir Hussain, Raja Singh Waring, and Gaurav Gogoi, as opposed to the leaders who were chosen by the central government, saying like, we want these people to be part of the delegation, were former Union Minister Shashi Tharoor and Manish Tiwari, and Punjab MP Amar Singh, and former Union Minister Salman Khurshid. Now, while the Congress claimed that the names it suggested were because they were sought by the government, the party president, Mr. Kharge, had been spoken to, the government held the view that all party delegations come under the remit of the government to put together, and so they had the right to choose who they wanted to include in these delegations. This, as I said earlier, showed up the divisions within the Congress, something the party could have avoided in favor of a message of unity sought to be conveyed by the government, especially after it had decided to offer full support to the government's actions on Operation Sindoor. Now, the government got into problems with the Trinamool Congress as well, with the party refusing to send Yusuf Pathan, who was asked for by the government. And later, after Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju spoke to the party's leadership, finally nominating another MP, Abhishek Banerjee, who's also West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's nephew, and he's the Lok Sabha MP for the same. Shiv Sena UBT too fell in line after, some say, senior NCP leader and SSUBT ally Sharad Pawar, who fully supported the view of the government and the moves made by the government. Rajya Sabha MP Priyanka Chaturvedi joined the delegations. Now, so what has happened is the government wanted to put together delegations, all party delegations. They had their own idea about who they wanted to include among the array of opposition MPs that were on offer. They told the leaders of the political parties that we are putting together these delegations. Leaders of political parties then put forward their names. Government put forward its names. And there was a bit of a tug of war there. But the government lightly prevailed, but not with Mamata Banerjee. Although she also gave in finally and said, okay, I will send an MP, but of my own choosing. Now, there are therefore a few issues that have come out of the exercise. Now, for the Congress, it showed up that it had trust issues with its own senior leaders, within its own party. Since the names put forward by the government, Mr. Tharoor, Manish Tiwari and Salman Khurshid et al. Have a good track record with regard to diplomacy, and therefore there was no substantive reason other than an ego issue to prevent them from being part of the delegation. The Congress will have to sort this issue out for itself. Did they really have to make this an issue of party discipline, or should they have allowed the government to have its way from the get-go as far as putting together the delegations were concerned? Now, secondly, the government had been able to resolve its issues with the TMC and the Shiv Sena UBT far quicker and with more response from them, which is a danger sign for the strength of the India bloc parties, of which all these other parties are members. Finally, however, it also reflects that India's political leaders need to take lessons from the past. When parties divided over ideology and sometimes even personal issues still had the ability to reach across the aisle for national purposes when the occasion presented itself. This was not just because of real politics, that is, not presenting a united front on national issues was not to be a good look for any party, but also because, despite the political divide, there was still dialogue and exchange across the aisle. That dialogue needs to be restored for a better polity. And for that to happen, the opposition needs, especially the Congress, needs to remember that it is no longer in power, and the ruling alliance needs to remember they are no longer in the opposition and being consistently belligerent and accusing the opposition of all sorts of issues. And the Congress also has to realize that it is not the party in power and has to therefore give certain amount of deference to what the government is doing and the decisions taken by the government for the country. Well, this is all I have to say for this whole issue, and as the consequences of the Pahalgam attacks and Operation Sindoor pan out. And one can only wish that more dialogue across the aisle does take place. Thank you so much for watching for this week. I shall see you next week.